Hello and welcome. Happy holidays. Hopefully you survive Thanksgiving and Black Friday. It is 9:30. It is the 27th day of, well, it says November on the calendar, but if you look out my window, it's June. It's almost 70 degrees, bright, sunny, windy. If you have allergies like me, you're miserable, but it's nice and warm. And it's November 27th of the year 2021, and I am your guide to the latest Strixhaven nonsense. Hey, Strixhaven. So we have finally, some information regarding the big mystery, the end of the year, the grand experiment that is Strixhaven, all the possible spoilers. We have a table of contents, and then we have some in-depth look at the table of contents. Now, I've already taken a look at the table of contents one, and yeah, it looks like they made up a lot of words. I'm sure some of these are references to the cards and whatever's going on in Magic the Gathering. So, since I haven't played Magic in years, a lot of this is lost on me and what they're referring to. Hopefully, if you've played the cards, you know what these are. If you haven't played the cards and you're picking up the book, at least you'll know, oh, hey, that's when he mentioned this, and now here it is in the book. But if you have no plans of picking up the book and you didn't play the card game, and you're like me and you're like, I don't know what this word means. Are you just making up words now, Wizards? I mean, it's not the first time people, you've made up words for D&D games. There's some really made up words. All right, so we have the table of contents. So, of course, we have page 4 through 6 telling us about the book and about the world. Then page 8 through 25 discusses life on campus. So we have campus overview, the different colleges. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colleges. I guess each college covers a different style of magic. So we have Lorehold, Divination, Prismari, I don't know, Quindrix, I don't know, Silverquill, I don't know, and Witherbloom, Necromancy? Yeah, okay, so those are the colleges. Then we have Chapter 2, which is the character options. All right, this is the section everybody was concerned about. So we have the new optional race, the Owlkin. We have the rules for choosing a college if you want to play through the actual adventure and be a student at Strixhaven. Then we have the new backgrounds, Lorehold student, Prismarine student, Quindrix student, Silverquill student, and Winterbloom student. From what I understand, from what Jeremy Crawford said, and of course anything that Jeremy Crawford says makes no sense whatsoever anymore, these are sort of like the builds. Like if you take a Lorehold student, then you get certain things, and as you level up as a Lorehold student, you get certain more things. It sort of replaces the classes, but not really. It's kind of like it runs in conjuration will the classes. I'm not sure if it actually replaces the classes. I have to go back and watch Jeremy Crawford's video again, because as usual with Crawford, it made very little sense. But either it's you take this background, and as you level up, in concurrent with you leveling up, this background gives you more and more bonuses, and it replaces all the other things. Or this completely replaces the classes in Strixhaven. So instead of being a rogue or a wizard or a fighter, you are a Lorehold student, and you level up as that. And as you level up as a student, that's how you get your abilities. But I am not sure. Hopefully we will have more information. So again, we have the backgrounds. Then we have the new feats. The Strixhaven Initiate and Strixhaven Mascot. Remember when they said there would be no new feats or subclasses in Strixhaven? They lied. Here are 2 new feats. We have the new spells. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new spells. Funny, you think a module about a adventure set at a magic school would have more than 5 new spells. But the spells are Borrowed Knowledge, Kinetic Job, Silvery Barbs, which people are already saying is broken, Vortex Warp, and Wither and Bloom. Then we have some new magic items. The Bottle of Boundless Coffee. Okay, right there. That is something I think we all wish we could have. the cuddly Strixhaven mascot, and then the premieres for each school. So there's a Lorehorde premiere, a Prismari premiere, a Quindrex premiere, a Silverquill premiere, a Strixhaven pennant, and a Winterbloom premiere. So, and I guess these are all like minor magic items. Bottle of Boundless Coffee and Cuddly Strixhaven mascot as magic items. Okay, that's sort of cool and wins. I'd like to see that in a regular D&D game. Then we have the actual adventure starting in Chapter 3 and running through Chapter 6. And that starts on page 40 and ends on page 178. The adventure is split into 3 parts. Chapter 3, School is in Session. Chapter 4, Hunt for Mage Tower. And Chapter 5, The Magister's Masquerade. I think this is the one everybody is worried about because that's where we have the D&D Prom. And then we have Chapter 6, A Reckoning in Ruins, ending with you hopefully being around 10th level. We move on to Chapter 7, Friends and Foes. Here we have all the NPCs and new races and new classes that you can make friends with, since, you know, the whole thing about the social interactiveness is one of the main things. And that starts on page 182 and goes to page 223. And of course, here are some of the new made up names like Orig and Prismarine and Ruin Grinder and Silverquill and Mugagoxor, and I guess these are things in the game or the cards, but I don't know. So 40 page starting on page 40 and ending on page 178. That's the actual adventure. As you go through the adventure, you should advance up to about 10th level. So it looks like it's using what do you call them? Milestones instead of experience. And then it has rooms for jobs. And here's what's the other thing people were worried about: the rules for jobs, exams, relationships, and some of the NPCs. Now we have a deeper look on that over here. We have the exams and jobs. So here's the exams rules. Characters, years of Strixhavens are covered by each of this book's adventures, which focuses on the notable and even shocking events that take place at the university. Even though the character studies include the trappings of academic life, attending lectures. Basically, if you want to role play your years in high school, now you can. I don't know why anybody over the age of 20 would want to role play again through the years of high school, but that seems to be a thing, you know, because of Stranger Things and the whole Tales from the Loop and the whole let's relive the 80s. Then we have the rules for that. Then we have some stuff like rules for extracurricular activities, including a LARP. So in the role-playing game of Dungeons & Dragons, you're playing a character who can then take part in a LARP playing a different character. We have the rules for Mage Tower, which is the Quidditch ripoff. We have the rules for Cheer Squad, the Drama Guild, the Iron Lifter Society, and so on. If one of these extracurriculars, you get a student die every long rest, which bumps one of your ability checks. Oh, if you do one of these activities, you get a student die every long rest, which bumps your ability check. So if I take part in a cheer squad, a LARP, I can take a long rest and get a student die and then add that to my ability score until my next long rest. Or is that just completely increase? Then there's also rules for what you can do as jobs, like the working at the bookstore, working at the tavern, working at the cafe, or working on campus as a groundskeeper. And all these things, I guess, help level your character while you're taking part in the adventure. Then we have an in-depth look at one of the schools. This is the School of Neuromancy, and it is run by Quindrex Professor of Theory, Dean Ibrahim, who's an Alokin. And you have some NPCs you can interact with, including a twin pair of Tritons. We have some other individuals. Basically, these are all the individuals you can interact with at the College of Numerancy, but our preview doesn't actually tell us what the college does. Okay, yeah. So, going back to the table of contents, from looking at the table of contents, we have life on campus for each college, the character options, the new race, the weird backgrounds, the feats. Hey, remember they said there weren't going to be feats. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new spells, of which everybody's saying Silvery Barbs is already incredibly broken. We have the magic items, and then we have the actual adventure that runs from page 40 to page 178. Chapter 1 is called School in Session. Chapter 2 is called Hunt for the Mage Tower. Chapter 3 is the Magister's Masquerade. And Chapter 4 is A Reckoning in Ruins. And here is where you have the magic prom that everybody was worried about. And some more made-up words like Tanzar and Pledge Mage and Aurig. And then a lot of NPCs and the rules for having relationships with NPCs. A lot of NPCs. Jesus, frick, this thing is just 90% NPCs. So you're spending, $75 for a book of NPCs, rules on how to have a LARP in your D&D game, a weird new background, which, I don't know, I mean, here's where we go. Here's the thing. These backgrounds are specific to Strixhaven, which means if I'm playing Adventure League D&D set, quote-unquote, in the current sacred D&D timeline that is the Forgotten Realms, I should not be able to play a Lorehold student Strixhaven background character in a normal D&D game because it is extremely specific to Strixhaven. So there's the question. Do these translate from the specificness of Strixhaven? Can I play a Lorehold student if I go to a game store that's doing Adventure League? That's Game Ogre here in Southern California. And hopefully Seth Games and Anime soon. Could I take that? I don't think you should be able to take it. Also, I don't think you should be able to take the spells from Strixhaven and bring them over to the regular game. But we'll see. So if people were worried about how this is going to affect core D&D, it really reads like it is separate unto itself. It is a completely self-contained adventure in a completely self-contained world that has very little to anything to do with regular D&D. And once you complete the adventure, then I guess that character retires unless you decide to continue to run adventures in the world of Strixhaven, which is how it should have been. Strixhaven should be a completely separate game, have no actual influence on Dungeons & Dragons 5e. It's just, hey, here's a game about going to magic school that uses the 5e rules. And then, yes, just some new monsters. So everybody was worried about how safe this book was going to be and, what is magic school going to be like and, all these little things. And it sounds pretty like, yeah, some of the concerns are true. I mean, there's a lot of NPCs and rules to interact with any one of these NPCs, including rules to romance the NPCs. And of course, there is a 25-page long section on basically running the prom part of the adventure, and the rules for the exams. And yeah, some of the concerns are true, some of the concerns aren't there. There's still a lot of questions, especially regarding like the backgrounds, because if you listen to what Crawford was saying, it makes no sense. I'd really need to read them. As far as on a scale of 1 to 10 in how it's going to affect the future of D&D, if we had these concerns about how they were going to implement these new rules, and if this is the experiment for the new rules. Let's see how well it sells. And all the other concerns, maybe it will do the things people are worried about, and maybe it won't do the things we're worried about. It just seems to be a storytelling adventure with a lot of interactions with NPCs and running through a series of adventures that somehow affects the school while you're playing these students that go to 10th level. So, yeah, Stranger Things, Harry Potter, D&D Mage School, as opposed to the pre-existing Mage School, which they already did with the Red Wizards of Thay. So, yeah, there it is. There's the table of contents and some not quite in-depth look at the table of contents. One of the several things that jump out, of course, the two biggies being the backgrounds and the fact that they said there was going to be no character builds or feats, and there is at least 2 new feats and several new magic spells, one of which people are already saying is incredibly broken, and that's Silvery Barbs. We'll have more information on this disaster or experiment or whatever it is as it's made available to us. It's supposedly the last D&D book of 2021, so we'll see how sales do. According to my friendly local game store, the Cess Games Anime here in Ventura, there are no pre-orders in for this yet. But we'll see. If you appreciate this, let me know, and please subscribe. Help me hit 1,000 subs by the end of the year. If you don't appreciate this, let me know, and I won't talk about it anymore. Have a great day, stay safe, and of course, get off my land, because I'm eating my leftovers. Talk to you soon.